As the wheels of justice continue to grind, we'll witness more plans of progress this fiscal year. Hi, I'm Theodore Henry. Welcome to Jamaica Magazine. Today we serve you with justice and other things. Let's get things started with the day's news right after this break.
Is your facility approved for COVID-19 testing? The Ministry of Industry, Investment and Commerce, through the JANAC Accreditation or Pre-Accreditation Approval Program, validates labs and point-of-care testing facilities such as medical centers. Accreditation safeguards the quality of test results and consumer well-being. Use a JANAC accredited or PAP approved facility for your tests, and let's defeat COVID-19 together. Contact the Jamaica National Agency for Accreditation, confirming competence, providing confidence in the marketplace.
Good day, I'm Stephen McHugh, and this is your JIS News for Wednesday, May 19. Jamaica is now a step closer to the full introduction of electric vehicles on the island. The latest development is the establishment of an electric vehicle EV council to oversee the consultative process.
The council is not a decision-making body, but rather will give oversight. They will review any policies, legislation, and regulations related to deployment of EVs in Jamaica, comment and provide feedback on matters relating to safety and suitability of EV technologies contemplated for Jamaica.
Energy Minister Darrell Vaz made the announcement Tuesday as he contributed to the 2021-2022 sectoral debate in the House of Representatives. He says the council held its first meeting on May 14 and approved the e-mobility strategic framework.
The strategic framework, which will include the fiscal regime, will be placed before Cabinet for its consideration. Meanwhile, the ministry intends to seek the approval of Cabinet for the overarching policy framework. Madam Speaker, I will update Parliament accordingly.
The Office of Utilities Regulation, OUR, will also be embarking on public consultations to examine proposals for a regulatory framework to facilitate the penetration of electric vehicles. In the meantime, Science, Energy and Technology Minister Darrell Vaz says net billing regulations will soon come on stream. He says consultations for sign-off on the regulations will begin shortly, and a draft instructions for power wheeling is also being prepared.
The delays encountered have more to do with the lack of technical capacity within the ministry, but that is being addressed as a matter of priority. In fact, Madam Speaker, we expect significant capacity strengthening in the Energy Division starting in a matter of weeks.
And the Joint Select Committee on the Electricity Act 2015 commenced its work some weeks ago to strengthen the legislative provision governing that sector. Still in Parliament, the Ministry of Agriculture and Fisheries will be rolling out its Farming as a Business training course this year. Portfolio Minister Floyd Green made the disclosure during a recent sitting of the lower house. He says the Rural Agricultural Development Authority, RADA, extension officers have already been trained in the course and will administer the program to registered farmers through their groups.
This program, Madam Speaker, provides farmers with training in record keeping, tracing and managing their day-to-day expenses, how to qualify for loans, how to access small business benefits, how to take greater care in market analysis, how to organize the business component of their agricultural operations.
The training course, which was launched in September 2020, is being done in collaboration with Commonwealth of Learning Canada. Meanwhile, a full rollout of the Extension Activities Services Management System is to take place over the next 2 years.
We will be able to track our extension officers. We can track them in real time, and we will be able to know who they visit, how long they have spent, what information they have gathered, what type of support they have given, so that we can validate that our farmers are getting the best extension service in the world.
Starting September 1, a limited entry commercial fishery for sea cucumbers will open.
Sea cucumber in the Asian market fetches US $385 per kilogram. We believe that we here in Jamaica can harvest up to 30 tons of wet weight per year, which would give us up to US $30 million worth of exports.
The Portfolio Minister says the establishment of the sea cucumber market is based on the results of a population assessment done by the National Fisheries Authority, NFA.
The National Fisheries Authority has reported that it has completed its assessment of the status of the sea cucumber fish population around the island shelf and the Pedro Blancs, and that based on the numbers it will support the establishment of a small-scale sustainable fishery for a very high-valued product.
Sea cucumbers have been used as a food source and medicinal ingredient in Asian and Middle Eastern countries for centuries. And finally, the Justice Ministry's Victim Services Division, VSD, is moving to strengthen the support provided for children who are victims of crime. Justice Minister Delroy Chuck gave the commitment during a recent JIS think tank. He says particular focus will be placed on preventing child abuse.
What the Victim Services Division is hoping to do as we move forward is not just reacting to victims who have suffered abuses and violence and attacks, but we now want to tell the community at large, if you see any indication where abuses are occurring or may occur, that they try to refer the potential victims to come to us.
The VSD delivers psychosocial support for victims of crime and advances efforts that promote victims' rights. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Stephen McHugh. Thanks for watching.
And I'll be showing you how I stay active. Let's go outside. Now that you've seen how I stay active, how do you stay active?
Sectoral presentations are in high gear and government ministers are outlining their plans for a better Jamaica this fiscal year and beyond. Here's a concise package of what our Justice Ministry will be doing to advance the access to justice for all.
My team and I have approached this new fiscal year with confidence and a deepened commitment to play our part to foster safe, cohesive and a just society. Make persons feel confident that they can deal with the Ministry of Justice.
From the lens of our cameras to your device, a massive wave of development is coming into focus as government works to deliver justice for all.
We are now improving the justice environment. And one of the areas, Madam Speaker, we intend is to put in place proper justice facilities
In the 2021-2022 fiscal year, the Justice Ministry will begin the design phase for a regional judicial complex in Manchester and Phase 1 of the St. Catherine Parish Complex. This fiscal year, too, we will notice the operationalization of the family courts in Manchester and St. Anne right after the current renovation works end.
Madam Speaker, the justice centres across the island are being improved, all the justice facilities.
The ministry is also set to begin renovation and refurbishing works at the Supreme Court.
Going forward, Madam Speaker, we expect that more courts will use technology to deal with mentioned matters, bail applications, and ultimately trial matters.
The ministry is moving along with the initiative of providing internet access to all parish courts this fiscal year. Further technological improvements will witness jury selection, case flow and docketing management, case scheduling and digital recording being enhanced through the Judicial Case Management System.
Madam Speaker, when the Ministry of Justice says that it is facilitating access to justice for all, this is what it looks like.
In addition to their training, a storage access network will be implemented, giving JPs across the island a dedicated email address under a single domain. This fiscal year, the Justice Ministry will bring forward an amendment to the existing law that will allow additional conditions under which expungement can be approved.
And I say, Madam Speaker, if they have served their time, paid their due, and after 10 years or 15 or 20 years, Madam Speaker, I think the opportunity should be given to them for their sentence to be expunged.
For those applicants who have not yet had their criminal records expunged, the Justice Ministry and the Police Commissioner are laying out options to streamline the process to make it even quicker and more efficient. In the 2021-2022 fiscal year, the ministry will be providing counseling and emotional support services to at least 5,036 new clients. They also intend to follow up with 5,000 existing clients and conduct over 10,000 counseling sessions. The Legal Aid Council plans to enroll 57 more attorneys to assist Jamaicans with criminal matters and satisfy 95% of duty counsel requests. The council also plans to assign attorneys to 90% of cases involving mentally ill detainees and provide residents living in 200 communities with legal information through the mobile justice units. Despite the challenges of a pandemic, the journey to provide access to justice for all Jamaicans remains on course.
We will continue to virtually provide those services and support that cannot be done in person. But, Madam Speaker, to quote local singer Coffee, when the quarantine thing done and everybody touch road, we are primed and ready to continue to take justice to the people.
Role of the DRF in violence prevention in our society is to mediate. We believe that mediation is really a very good thing in terms of resolving disputes at the court level, at the parish court level, and at the Supreme Court level. Now, let me tell you about some of the matters that may come at the parish court levels. You and I live in a tenement yard and a fight. We report the matter to the police, it goes to court. The judge may say, well, you know, you are just probably a teenager. Go to mediation and see if you can get a settlement. Because if you can agree, then you won't have a criminal record. We urge everyone, call our offices, come to our offices, no matter how simple the matter may be, come to us. We have persons who are trained.
Justice doesn't only take place in the halls of court buildings. Entities like the Dispute Resolution Foundation help ensure conflicts are peacefully resolved, including in the workplace. Here are some tips to address the issues that arise at work.
conflict is unhealthy for productivity in the workplace, you guys can't continue like this.
And she come in the morning
I'm
trying to show her, she just act like idiot.
Alright, so hear what? I have a video from the Dispute Resolution Foundation that I think you guys need to watch. Come with me.
A conflict is at its most fundamental a disagreement. Workplace conflict has a number of significant impacts. There's a cost to conflict at the workplace. So someone seeing a dispute between two employees or between employees and the employer being played out in public might be inconvenienced by what is happening, but they're unaware of what's the cost. There are all kinds of costs, from personal costs, health costs, reputational costs, to financial costs. So conflict can impact somebody at the workplace. It can impact the production and productivity of the business. If you think of it, any workplace could find that between a supervisor or just between two employees, there could be an unresolved conflict and it affects how they work. So if we have to work in a way that says your work is affecting mine and vice versa, and we're not getting along, then over time what will happen is that we tend not to be very productive because we're not communicating with each other, we're not responding, we're not engaged. So it affects the organization's relationship internally, it affects the dynamics of that, it affects productivity, it affects communication, it affects a number of things. So simple things like management decisions may be impacted by conflict at the workplace.
Mediation is very, very important in order to solve conflicts like these and to ensure that we have productivity.
Conflict resolution is a very broad term used to describe different approaches to try and manage conflict when conflict occurs. So mediation is just one of those processes, a very structured process in which a neutral third party who is trained helps disputing parties to come to a resolution of their dispute. Now, at the workplace, that will be helping them to negotiate. So they may be unable to negotiate by themselves, so they may get somebody who is external to each of them to help them to resolve that dispute, and that person will play the role of a mediator.
So guys, this is where I come in, to sit with you both and to discuss the issue further. But before we get to the meat of the matter, there is just one more point to note.
Now, in order to do that, the mediator has to have some very effective communication skills. So how does the mediator communicate? And communicate in a way that includes both verbal and non-verbal, but at the same time interpreting what is it that the verbal and non-verbal cues that are coming from the parties. What are those cues saying? So the mediator has to be very effective at communication. Now, helping the parties to communicate may be a part of the communication, the larger communication skills of the mediator. However, at a particular point in time, mediator has to help the parties to negotiate. So the mediator has to be au fait with what negotiation is about, how are the parties negotiating, and help them to be able to negotiate in a way that settles the dispute that they have.
Alright, so as you guys can see, conflict, it's not new. Today was probably the first for you guys, and it maybe won't be the last. But based on the video that you've just seen, you can now tell the true effect of what conflict can do within the organization. So you see, it's very important for you to practice mediation and proper conflict resolutions. Now, having seen or heard all of that, what really happened today?
To properly carry out a hand rub, apply a palmful of the product in your cupped hand, covering all surfaces. Rub your hands palm to palm. Rub your right palm over the back of your left hand with interlaced fingers and vice versa. Rub your hands palm to palm with fingers interlaced. Rub the back of your fingers to opposing palms with fingers interlocked. Rotationally rub backwards and forwards the clasped fingers of your right hand in your left palm and vice versa. Once your hands are dry, they are now safe.
As we continue on the path of justice, for more personal issues like cyber stalking, you can get your own bit of justice too. It really just depends on the action you take to remedy the situation. We now share the story of Tony and Lati, a victim of cyber stalking, but also an overcomer because of strong actions taken.
I'm Tony and Lati, and I am a victim of cybercrime. It started when my friends and I were in school, and we all received a friend request from a weird name. We didn't know who it was at the time, but because we all got the friend request, we figured more likely it was a real person, so everybody accepted this person. Wrong move. So everything was fine in the initial stages, but maybe like a week or two after everybody accepted the friend request, some strange things started to happen. They would send us messages, sometimes individually, or they'd send the same message to everybody just to see what kind of different responses we would have. And it was very weird, to say the least. But then after that, it's like they upped the ante a little bit to start. Well, they started to tell us things that we were doing and places that we were going and people that we were with, and it was just like, okay, do I know you? Well, we became very paranoid. It's sensitive information that this person is telling you, it's places that you never really announce it to people that you're going here. So when you see somebody send you a message to say, oh, you're here with this person and this person, you start to look at your friends now like, it's you, I know you're playing with me. You just talk the truth and let's move on. But it wasn't any of them. When everything happened, at that time we had a lecturer who was a DSP. So we started to get advice from him, asking, what to do. And at that point, he told us that the best thing to do is stay as safe as possible. And so we started to leave school extra early. But we sort of just took matters into our own hands to try and find the person ourselves. We Googled how to trace IP addresses, and that's how we found out that the person who was doing this was actually a member of the school community, or they would be attached to the school Wi-Fi at the same time that we were at school. Eventually, it stopped because we made an uproar about it in spaces where we suspected the person was. So we began to speak very loudly about it. We let them know that we would be pressing charges and we'd go out with a bag of things. We didn't know who the person was, but we figured more likely that they heard us loud and clear. To this day, we don't have a definitive answer as to who the person was. Yes, we have our suspicions. But I can't really point at somebody to say, you are the person who was doing that. And that's a little scary to me. Looking back now, I think we all would have been much better off and a lot less paranoid if we kept ourselves to ourselves and only added people on social media that you know for a fact are your friends. If somebody doesn't have a profile picture, that's probably not somebody that you want to share your information with. To everybody else, I just say be very careful on social media because things and times have changed and there are some people out there with really malicious intent. So you just have to be very, very careful, be observant, be vigilant.
Informing.
Jamaica today confirmed its first imported case of coronavirus.
Educating.
If you follow the recommended procedures, it is highly likely that you will not get the disease.
Going beyond to keep you informed and connected.
Welcome together, Fat.
Even through the pandemic. Helping you stay safe while we protect ourselves. Dependable. Impactful. Accurate.
This is your JIS News. Credible. Trustworthy. Every day, everywhere. Serving our customers proudly.
So much of today's narrative has been flowing along the line of justice being available to all Jamaicans. So here it is. We want to continue along that same trajectory by highlighting a few of the achievements of the Attorney General's Department. Here goes. Over the last year, the AGC closed 434 estates and transferred all assets to the beneficiaries. This means that in addition to exceeding its target of closing 400 estates, the interests of minors, beneficiaries, and creditors of estates were protected through the effective administration of assets of those who have died without a will. The AGC is also extending the state's motor vehicle accident backlog project to February 2023. This will allow more gains to be made in eliminating the backlog of accidents and other matters in the General Legal Advice Division. And the Attorney General's Chambers is working on an integrated library management system which will enable attorneys to have access to the library and database from any location or device. All these developments from the doors, windows, and walls of the Attorney General's chambers are coming together to help create a Jamaica where we can all live, work, raise families, and do just about any business.
We work to make communities safer by essentially looking at the structures in the community that contribute greatest to social capital building. Try to reinforce, build, and establish those structures in a way that the community can sustain their own safety and own their own peace. When we say, for instance, we're doing a zinc fence removal program, what we're really doing is improving the line of sight. If you're on the street and you can see better what is behind the fences, then as you walk along the street or children play on, etc., you're able to contribute to crime prevention. We believe, in terms of our mandate and our responsibility, that by making communities safer, we can make Jamaica safer.
By just staying with the JIS today, you would have learned something about what your government is doing to prepare a better tomorrow and a much better justice system. But if you need a reminder, you can watch it all again on our website or our YouTube channel. You can also keep up with the JIS team on your Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter pages. So on behalf of the entire production team, I'm Theodore Henry. Take care.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.